Ladies and gentlemen, there is one experience in life that every person will face sooner or later, and that is the pain of being hurt by someone else. It may come through betrayal, rejection, harsh words, broken trust, or unfair treatment. Often the deepest wounds are not caused by strangers, but by people we trusted, people we loved, and people we never expected would cause us pain. When that happens, it can shake your heart, disturb your thoughts, and leave you asking questions that seem to have no answers. You may wonder why it happened, why it was allowed, and whether justice will ever come. In moments like these, it can feel as if the pain will never fade and the wrong will never be made right. Yet even in those painful experiences, God is not absent. He sees every tear, He hears every silent cry, and He knows every detail of what has happened to you. When someone hurts you, your first instinct may be to fight back, to defend yourself, or to hope that they experience the same pain they caused you. That reaction is natural because the heart longs for fairness and justice. But God often works in ways that are very different from what we expect. Instead of responding immediately with judgment, He often begins by working in the heart of the one who was hurt. He strengthens you in places where you once felt weak. He teaches you patience when you want immediate answers. He gives you wisdom so that you can see the situation from a higher perspective. While you may be focused on the wound, God is focused on your growth. While you are looking at the offense, God is shaping your character. Sometimes it may seem as if those who hurt you are getting away with what they have done. You may see them continuing in their lives as if nothing ever happened, and that can be frustrating and confusing. But God's timing is not the same as human timing. He sees the full picture, not just the moment. He understands motives, intentions, and hidden actions that no one else can see. Nothing escapes His attention. There is no hurt that goes unnoticed and no injustice that goes unrecorded. Even when it appears that nothing is happening, God is still at work behind the scenes in ways that you may not yet understand. One of the ways God deals with those who hurt you is by allowing truth to come to light. Lies may stand for a while, but they cannot stand for a season, but it cannot last indefinitely. In time, the truth has a way of revealing itself. Situations change, circumstances shift, and what was once hidden becomes visible. This is not always immediate, but it is certain. God is a God of truth, and truth has a way of rising to the surface no matter how deeply it is buried. Another way God deals with those who hurt you is by allowing consequences to follow actions. Every action has a result, and every choice leads to an outcome. Sometimes those consequences come quickly, and sometimes they take years to unfold. But eventually, the seeds that people plant in their lives begin to grow. If someone plants seeds of kindness and honesty, they will eventually see the fruit of those choices. If someone plants seeds of harm and deception, those seeds also produce a harvest. This is not about revenge. It is about justice. God does not act out of anger the way humans do. He acts out of righteousness and truth. While God is dealing with those who hurt you, He is also working within you. Pain has a way of shaping a person, and God can use even the most difficult experiences to produce strength and wisdom. The very thing that was meant to break you can become the thing that builds you. The very moment that felt like an ending can become the beginning of a new chapter. God can take what was meant for harm and turn it into something meaningful. He can use your story to encourage someone else. He can use your endurance to strengthen your faith. He can use your healing to bring hope to others who are hurting. Forgiveness is often one of the hardest steps in the process of healing. It does not mean that what happened was acceptable, and it does not mean that the pain was not real. Forgiveness is not about pretending that nothing happened. It is about releasing the burden so that it no longer controls your heart. When you hold on to bitterness, it keeps you tied to the past. When you choose to forgive, you begin to step into freedom. God understands how difficult this can be, and He does not ask you to do it alone. He gives strength to those who ask and peace to those who seek it. Sometimes God deals with those who hurt you by removing them from your life. Not every person is meant to stay forever. Some people are only present for a season, and when that season ends, God closes the door. This can be painful, especially if you hope things would be different. But sometimes separation is protection. Sometimes distance is necessary for healing. Sometimes the very thing that feels like a loss is actually a form of guidance. God sees what you cannot see, and He knows what lies ahead. There are also times when God allows those who hurt you to remain in your life, not to cause you harm, but to teach you strength. In those moments, you learn how to stand firm in your values. You learn how to set boundaries. You learn how to respond with wisdom instead of reacting with emotion. Growth often comes through challenges, and God can use even difficult relationships to shape you into a stronger person. It is important to remember that God's justice is perfect. Human judgment can be flawed and incomplete, but God's judgment is always right. He knows every detail and every circumstance. He understands the things that were said and the things that were left unsaid. He sees the private moments that no one else witnessed. Because of this, you can trust Him to handle the situation in the right way and at the right time. As you walk through the process of healing, you may discover that the pain begins to lose its power over you. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. What once brought tears begins to bring understanding. This does not happen overnight, but it does happen step by step. God's presence brings comfort in ways that words cannot fully describe. He restores peace where there was once turmoil. He brings clarity where there was once confusion. Your responsibility is not to carry out justice or to make things right on your own. Your responsibility is to trust God, to continue moving forward, and to allow Him to work in your life. When you place the situation in His hands, you release yourself from the burden of trying to control the outcome. You are free to focus on your growth, your purpose, and your future. Even when you cannot see what God is doing, He is still working. Even when you do not understand, He still has a plan. Every moment of pain, every unanswered question, and every silent tear is known to Him, and He is able to bring good out of even the most difficult situations. When someone hurts you, one of the deepest struggles you may face is the feeling that your pain has gone unnoticed. You may feel as though your story has been misunderstood, your intentions misjudged, or your suffering ignored. Perhaps you i.e. to explain what happened, but no one seemed to listen. Perhaps others believed a version of events that was far from the truth. In those moments, the silence can be just as painful as the hurt itself. Yet even when no one else sees clearly, God sees perfectly. He does not rely on appearances, opinions, or partial information. He sees every detail, every moment, and every circumstance exactly as it happened. Nothing is hidden from Him, and nothing is ever misunderstood in His sight. God sees the moments that others overlook. He sees the quiet tears that fall when no one else is around. He hears the prayers that are whispered in the middle of the night when sleep will not come. He knows the thoughts that run through your mind when you try to make sense of what has happened. Even when you cannot find the words to explain how you feel, He understands. Human understanding is limited, but God's understanding is complete. Where others see only fragments, He sees the whole picture. Where others make assumptions, He knows the truth. Sometimes the deepest pain comes from being falsely accused or wrongly judged. When people believe something about you that is not true, it can feel like your identity itself is under attack. You may want to defend yourself, to correct every misunderstanding, and to prove that you are not in the wrong. That desire is natural, but it can also become exhausting. Trying to fix every false impression and answer every accusation can drain your strength and steal your peace. There is comfort in knowing that even when others do not see the truth, God does. Your character is fully known to Him. Your motives are clear to Him. Your heart is visible to Him in ways that no human perception could ever fully grasp. There are times when it may seem as though the pain you experienced did not matter, as though life simply moved on for everyone else while you were left to deal with the consequences. You may see the person who hurt you continuing on without apology or acknowledgement. You may watch as they appear to prosper or succeed, and it can leave you feeling confused and even discouraged. In those moments, it is important to remember that God's awareness is constant. He does not dismiss your pain as insignificant. Every moment has been witnessed by Him, and every injustice has been recorded in ways that human memory could never preserve. God's knowledge goes beyond outward actions. He sees intentions as well as behaviors. He understands the circumstances surrounding every event. He knows what was said and what was left unsaid. He knows the pressures people were under and the choices they made despite those pressures. This complete understanding is what makes His judgment perfect. Humans often judge based on limited information, but God's perspective is never incomplete. He sees the beginning, the middle, and the end all at once. Because of this, you can trust that His understanding of your situation is deeper than your own. Knowing that God sees everything can bring a sense of peace in the middle of confusion. When you feel invisible, you are not invisible to Him. When you feel forgotten, you are not forgotten by Him. When you feel misunderstood, you are fully understood by Him. This truth can steady your heart when emotions threaten to overwhelm you. It can give you strength when you feel weak, and reassurance when you feel uncertain. You do not have to carry the burden of proving your worth or defending your story before everyone around you, because the one who matters most already knows the truth. There is also comfort in knowing that God not only sees your pain, but cares about it. His awareness is not distant or indifferent. He is not a silent observer who watches without concern. He is present in the middle of your hurt, offering comfort and strength. Even when you do not feel His presence, He is near. Even when your circumstances do not immediately change, He remains attentive and involved. His care is constant and His concern is genuine. Over time, you may begin to see small reminders that you are not alone. Strength may come when you thought you had none left. Peace may appear in moments when anxiety once filled your mind. Clarity may begin to replace confusion as you reflect on what has happened. These quiet changes are often signs that God is at work in ways that are not always obvious at first. His work is often gentle and steady, unfolding step by step rather than all at once. There may be moments when you question whether the truth will ever be known by others. You may wonder if misunderstandings will ever be corrected or if wrong impressions will ever be set right. While outcomes may vary, God's knowledge remains constant regardless of human recognition. Even if others never fully understand your story, God does. Even if explanations never come, His awareness never fades. Even if justice seems delayed, His memory is never erased. One of the most difficult parts of being hurt is watching the person who caused the pain continue with life as if nothing ever happened. You may look at their life and see no immediate consequences, no acknowledgement of wrongdoing, and no sign of justice. It can feel deeply unfair, and the longer it continues, the heavier the burden on your heart may become. You may find yourself asking why nothing seems to change, why the situation appears unresolved, and why justice seems delayed. In those moments, it is easy to feel discouraged and even question whether fairness truly exists. Yet God's sense of justice does not operate according to human schedules. His timing is deliberate, purposeful, and always aligned with a greater plan that reaches far beyond the present moment. Human nature often seeks immediate resolution. When something wrong happens, there is a strong desire to see it corrected right away. Waiting can feel unbearable, especially when the pain is fresh and the memory of what happened remains vivid. But God often works through processes rather than sudden events. His justice unfolds in ways that are steady and precise, ensuring that every detail is taken into account. What may appear as delay is often preparation. What may seem like silence is often patience at work. God is never in a hurry, yet He is never late. Every moment is part of a larger design that moves forward according to His perfect understanding. It is important to remember that God sees not only actions but also intentions. While people may judge based on what is visible, God judges based on what is hidden as well as what is seen. He understands motives, attitudes, and choices in ways that no human observer ever could. Because of this, his justice is never flawed or incomplete. When he acts, he does so with full knowledge of every circumstance. This means that you do not have to worry about whether the situation has been properly understood. Nothing has been overlooked, and nothing has been misinterpreted in his sight. Sometimes the consequences of actions come quickly, and sometimes they take time to develop. Just as a seed planted in the ground does not produce fruit overnight, the results of a person's choices often unfold gradually. People may continue for a season without seeing the effects of what they have done, and this can create the illusion that their actions have no consequences. But seeds grow beneath the surface long before they become visible above the ground. In the same way, consequences often begin forming long before they are revealed. What seems invisible in the present may become undeniable in the future. Waiting for justice can test your patience and challenge your faith. There may be moments when you feel tempted to take matters into your own hands, to seek revenge, or to force a resolution. Those impulses are understandable because pain often demands an outlet. Yet, acting out of anger can create new problems rather than solving the old ones. God's way is different. He calls you to trust that He is capable of handling what you cannot. He asks you to release the burden of revenge so that your heart can be free from the weight of bitterness and resentment. Trusting God's timing does not mean pretending that the hurt never happened. It does not mean ignoring the pain or denying the reality of what you experienced. It means acknowledging the hurt while choosing to believe that justice does not depend on your efforts alone. It means recognizing that God's perspective is wider and deeper than your own. He sees the long-term effects of every action and understands how each event fits into a larger story. There are times when justice comes in ways that are visible and clear. Truth may come to light, misunderstandings may be corrected, and wrongs may be acknowledged. When this happens, it can bring a sense of relief and closure. But there are also times when justice is quieter and less obvious. A person may face consequences in ways that are not publicly seen. Circumstances may shift in ways that only they fully understand. Inner struggles may arise that no one else can observe. God's justice is not limited to what is visible on the surface. It reaches into areas of life that human eyes cannot see. While God is dealing with those who hurt you, He is also working in your life. The waiting period is not empty time. It is a season of growth and preparation. During this time, you may develop patience that you did not have before. You may gain wisdom that helps you make better decisions in the future. You may discover strength that you never realized you possessed. These qualities are often formed in the quiet moments of waiting, when you are learning to trust even without clear answers. It can be comforting to remember that God's justice is never random or careless. Every outcome is measured and intentional. He does not act out of impulse or emotion, but out of truth and righteousness. This means that when justice comes, it is not excessive or insufficient. It is exactly what is needed and exactly what is right. You can rest in the knowledge that the situation is not out of control, even when it feels that way from your perspective. Releasing the desire for immediate justice can bring a sense of peace that would otherwise be impossible. When you stop trying to control the outcome, you free yourself from the constant tension of wondering what will happen next. You no longer have to replay the situation over and over in your mind, searching for ways to make things right. Instead, you can focus on your own growth and healing, trusting that God is taking care of the rest. Over time, you may begin to see that His timing had a purpose. What once felt like a delay may reveal itself as patience. And what once felt like injustice may ultimately reveal the careful and steady work of a God who never forgets, never overlooks, and never fails to do what is right. Pain has a way of entering life without invitation, often at the most unexpected moments. When someone hurts you, it can feel as though something inside has been shaken or even broken. The experience may leave you questioning your worth, your judgment, and sometimes even your faith. Yet in the midst of that pain, God is able to work in ways that are deeper than the hurt itself. What feels lie. A setback can become a place of transformation, and what seems like a wound can become a source of strength. While you may naturally focus on what was lost, God often focuses on what can be built in its place. When pain first comes, it often feels overwhelming. Emotions may rise and fall without warning, and thoughts may circle endlessly around what happened. In that state, it can be difficult to imagine that anything good could come from the experience. The hurt feels too real, too immediate, and too heavy. Yet growth often begins in these very moments. Just as muscles grow stronger through resistance, the heart and mind can grow stronger through trials. The process is not always comfortable, and it rarely happens quickly, but over time something begins to change within you. One of the first ways God uses pain to strengthen you is by deepening your understanding. Experiences that once seemed simple may begin to take on new meaning. You may start to see patterns, recognize warning signs, and understand people in ways you did not before. This new awareness is not meant to make you fearful, but to make you wiser. Wisdom often comes through experience, and painful experiences tend to leave the deepest impressions. What you learn through hardship often stays with you in a way that easy lessons never could. Strength also develops as you endure what once seemed impossible to bear. At the beginning of a painful season, you may feel certain that you cannot handle the weight of what has happened. Each day may feel like a struggle, and the future may seem uncertain. Yet as time passes, you continue moving forward one step at a time. You begin to realize that you are still standing, still breathing, and still pressing on. This realization can bring a quiet confidence. You start to see that you are stronger than you once believed. The very experience that seemed as though it would destroy you becomes evidence that you can endure more than you ever imagined. Pain can also reshape your priorities. Things that once seemed important may lose their significance, while things that once seemed small may become precious. You may begin to value honesty more deeply, cherish genuine relationships more fully, and guard your time more carefully. This shift in perspective is part of the growth that comes through hardship. God often uses difficult experiences to clarify what truly matters, helping you focus on what has lasting value rather than what is temporary or superficial. Another way pain can strengthen you is by teaching patience. When you are hurt, healing rarely happens overnight. There is often a process that unfolds gradually, sometimes so slowly that it is difficult to notice from one day to the next. Waiting for healing can be frustrating, especially when you want relief right away. Yet patience grows in these moments of waiting. You learn to endure discomfort without giving up. You learn to trust even when you do not see immediate results. This patience becomes a source of strength that will serve you in many areas of life. Pain can also deepen compassion. When you have experienced hurt, you gain a greater understanding of what others may be going through. You begin to notice the struggles that people carry even when they do not speak about them openly. This awareness can soften your heart and open the door to greater kindness. The comfort you receive during your own difficult times can become something you share with others. In this way, your pain can become a source of encouragement and support for someone else who is walking a similar path. There is also a strengthening that comes through learning to rely on God in deeper ways. During times of ease, it is easy to feel self-sufficient and secure. But pain has a way of revealing how much you need His guidance and strength. In moments of weakness, you may find yourself reaching out in prayer more often, seeking comfort and direction. Through this process, your faith can become more personal and more real. Instead of being something distant or abstract, it becomes a source of daily support and reassurance. Over time, you may begin to see that the experience changed you in ways that are meaningful and lasting. The person you become after the trial may be wiser, stronger, and more grounded than before. This does not mean that the pain was necessary or that the hurt was justified. It means that God is able to bring growth even out of situations that were never meant to be good. He can take what was intended for harm and shape it into something that contributes to your development and maturity. Sometimes the growth is visible to others. They may notice your calmness in situations that once would have overwhelmed you. They may see your patience where there once was frustration. They may recognize your strength even when you feel uncertain inside. Other times the growth is quieter, known only to you and to God. It may appear in the way you think, the way you respond, and the way you understand the world around you. As this growth takes place, the pain itself may begin to lose its sharpness. The memories may remain, but they no longer carry the same weight. What once triggered deep emotion may eventually bring reflection instead. The experience becomes part of your story, not as a source of constant hurt, but as a chapter that contributed to who you have become. In this way, even painful moments can be woven into a larger story of strength, resilience, and transformation. Healing often begins in ways that are so quiet and gradual that you may not notice it at first. After being hurt, it is natural to feel trapped in the memory of what happened. The mind replays the words, the actions, and the moments that caused pain as if searching for an explanation that will finally make everything make sense. During this time, it can feel as though the hurt has taken up permanent residence in your heart. Yet God's desire is not for you to live in a place of constant pain, but to lead you into a place of peace and freedom. That journey does not usually happen all at once. Instead, it unfolds step by step, often beginning with small changes deep within your heart. One of the first steps toward healing is learning to release the weight you have been carrying. Hurt often creates a burden that feels heavy and exhausting. The more you think about what happened, the heavier that burden becomes. Bitterness can begin to grow, and resentment can take root in ways that slowly drain your strength. Holding on to these feelings may seem justified, especially when the pain was real and undeserved. Yet carrying that weight keeps you tied to the moment of hurt. God's desire is to lift that burden so that you can move forward without being held back by the past. Forgiveness is often a central part of this process, though it is also one of the most challenging steps. Forgiveness is not about pretending that nothing happened or acting as if the pain did not matter. It is not about excusing wrong behavior or allowing yourself to be hurt again. Instead, forgiveness is about releasing your claim to revenge and trusting God to handle justice in His own way. It is a decision to stop allowing the offense to control your thoughts and emotions. When you forgive, you are not saying that the hurt was acceptable. You are choosing freedom over captivity. At first, forgiveness may feel impossible. The wound may still feel too fresh, and the emotions may still feel too strong. In those moments, it is important to remember that forgiveness is often a process raw, there than a single decision. You may need to return to that decision more than once, especially when old memories resurface. Each time you choose to release the hurt, you loosen its grip on your heart. Over time, what once felt overwhelming may begin to lose its intensity. As healing continues, God often begins to restore the parts of your heart that were wounded. Where there was once anger, He can bring calm. Where there was once confusion, He can bring a sense of lightness and relief. This restoration may come through quiet moments of reflection, through prayer, or through the passage of time. It may come through the support of others or through unexpected moments of peace. However it comes, it is often a reminder that healing is possible even after deep hurt. Sometimes, healing involves separation from those who cause the pain. There are times when God removes people from your life because their presence would only continue the cycle of hurt. This kind of separation can be painful, especially if the relationship once meant a great deal to you. Yet distance can create space for healing. Without constant reminders of the hurt, your heart has room to recover. In these moments, what feels like a loss may actually be a form of protection. There are also times when healing takes place even while the person remains in your life. In these situations, God may teach you how to establish healthy boundaries. Boundaries are not walls meant to shut people out completely. They are safeguards that protect your well-being. Learning to set boundaries can be an important part of healing because it allows you to move forward without fear of being hurt in the same way again. This process can take courage, especially if you are used to putting others' needs ahead of your own. Yet protecting your heart is not selfish. It is wise. As God leads you through healing, you may begin to notice a sense of freedom growing within you. Situations that once triggered strong emotions may no longer have the same effect. Thoughts that once consumed your mind may begin to fade into the background. The story of what happened will always be part of your life, but it will no longer define your present. Instead of feeling stuck in the past, you begin to feel open to the future. Freedom also comes when you realize that your identity is not determined by what others have done to you. Being hurt does not diminish your worth. Being rejected does not make you less valuable. Being mistreated does not change who you are in God's eyes. As this truth settles into your heart, it becomes easier to let go of the lies that pain often brings. You begin to see yourself not as a victim of what happened, but as someone who has endured and grown. Over time, you may even begin to see glimpses of purpose within the pain. The lessons you learned may help you make wiser decisions. The strength you gained may help you face future challenges. The compassion you developed may allow you to support others who are hurting. In this way, the experience becomes more than just a memory of pain. It becomes part of a larger story of growth and transformation. Healing does not mean forgetting, and freedom does not mean the past never happened. It means that the pain no longer controls your present. It means that the pain no longer holds the same power over your heart. Step by step, God leads you out of the place of hurt and into a place of peace, replacing heaviness with hope and guiding you into a life that is no longer defined by what happened, but by the strength and restoration that followed. In the end, understanding how God deals with those who hurt you changes the way you carry your pain. Instead of living with the constant pressure to make things right on your own, you begin to rest in the assurance that nothing escapes his notice and nothing is beyond his control. He sees every wrong, he knows every truth, and he works in ways that reach far beyond what human eyes can see. While he is handling justice in his perfect time, he is also healing your heart, strengthening your spirit, and guiding you toward a future that is not defined by what happened to you. The pain that once felt overwhelming can become a testimony of endurance, the wounds can become reminders of growth, and the struggles can become stepping stones toward a deeper faith and a stronger life. When you trust him with your hurt, you release the burden of bitterness and make room for peace to take its place. What others meant for harm does not have the final word, because God is able to bring restoration where there was brokenness and hope where there was despair. And when all is said and done, you will see that he was faithful through every moment, working quietly and powerfully to bring you into a place of healing, strength, and freedom. For in his hands, every hurt has a purpose, and every tear is never wasted.